Hello guys, this is Anurag Sharma again, and in the series of Reserve Bank of India and its important function, today I'll be discussing with you another major function of Reserve Bank of India as banker's supervisor. That how Reserve Bank of India acts as banker's supervisor. It has been made by me, Anurag Sharma. Now, RBI has set up a working group. It was known as S. Padmanabhan Committee, as the Padmanabhan Group, in February 1995, and it gave its report during November 1995. This group was formed to know to give any recommendations and suggestions for improvement of banking supervision structure. Now, this group gave n number of suggestions and recommendations. One of the recommendation was to introduce off-site surveillance, and this surveillance system was introduced in March 1996. Under this system, banks were required to furnish DSB, that DSB is known as Department of Supervision by Banks returns, DSB returns in short it is known as, and banks are required to furnish these DSB returns. And these DSB returns are statutory returns, and these returns are called by Reserve Bank of India in exercise of power vested in it under section 27 subsection 2 of Banking Regulation Act 1949. Now, this Banking Regulation Act 1949 BRA 1949, we will be discussing this in another lesson. Now, DSB returns are basically 11 statements, and non-submission of these DSB returns or any wrong reporting in these returns attract penalties as specified in section 46 of again under Banking Regulation Act 1949. This S. Padmanabhan Committee also introduced vigilance system in banks, and in early 90s, RBI had set up a committee known as Ghosh Committee to inquire into various aspects of frauds and irregularities. Now, what are the various functions of vigilance or various types of vigilance which were introduced in banking system? One vigilance is known as preventive vigilance, another one is surveillance, the third one is detective vigilance, and the last one is punitive vigilance. Now, how these vigilance system works? Now, preventive vigilance, it is self-explanatory, and it should these type of survey vigilance system is to promote that to formulate these type of policies so that there should be elimination of the potential irregularities. So prevention is better than cure, the basic principle of preventive vigilance. The next one is surveillance vigilance, again self-explanatory type, that it includes the on-site detailed scrutiny of advances and critical areas, and it should be given the most importance under the surveillance vigilance system. The second last one is detective vigilance. Now, detective vigilance, and it implies an intelligent check on banks books and records in depth. So there should be regular inspection of branches, and through the inspectors of the banks, different banks have called inspectors, or internal auditing system, it should be strong. We'll be discussing internal auditing system in further slide. And the last one and the most harsh vigilance system is known as punitive vigilance system. And punitive vigilance system, it has its own merits and demerits, and but for the growth of any organization on healthy lines, we need this punitive vigilance system. And banks have their own system also for punitive vigilance. It means it is harsh, it includes penalties and dismissal or suspension, or taking money back from the whosoever is found culprit. So this is punitive vigilance system. It even banks have their own internal punitive vigilance system, or the external vigilance system, which is known as CVC or Central Vigilance Commission. And jurisdiction of CVC, it was extended to all employees of financial institution and banks during 1964, and after few certain changes and amendments, their new CVC setup was it was set up to shed the fear among bank officers, so that they can do more work, because it was hindering somehow their performance. And that new CVC system was introduced in January 1st 1990 9. Under this system, few authorities were established, and one of the authorities known as Central Advisory Board of Bank and Financial Frauds, CABBF. Now, CBI's Banking Securities and Fraud Cell, it was also established, and it handles cases of rupees 5 crore and above. Now, where goes the cases of lower values? The 25 lakh and 5 crore case, the whichever case comes under this bracket, more than 25 lakh and less than 5 crore, it is handled by the respective CBI branch, and below 25 lakh case are handled by the local police stations. Now, is CVC, how CVC works, Central Vigilance Commission works? It it works on two bases, two stages. The first stage is known as to decide the what type of disciplinary proceeding, either it is a minor, it is a minor case or a major case, and the second time at the time of determining the quantum of punishment, that how severe should be the punishment for the case that which has been decided in first step, that is either it is a minor case or a major case. The cases under divided into two categories. The first category is known as A category, and the second category is known as B category cases. A category comprises of serious lapses and irregularities, and it calls for major penalties, any kind of major lapses or major irregularities there. And B category cases would be those involving procedural lapses, certain maybe a little bit of negligence during daily work, and things like that. So this is how Central Vigilance Commission works. Another system which was introduced in banks for their as a supervisor, how RBI acts as supervisory role in among banks. So this another system is known as concurrent audit, and on the recommendation of the again Ghosh committee, RBI advised all commercial banks introduce the system of concurrent audit. And what concurrent auditor is expected to do, it is expected to be carried out by an independent person. There should be an independent person who will conduct this concurrent audit. Now, objective of concurrent audit is to carry out audit task on ongoing basis, again in a regular basis, on a regular interval, not once in a while or once a year activity. It should be on an ongoing basis, and it is essentially a substantive check. Substantive means in-depth checking on specific areas rather than test checking. Now, test checking is something which is a technique used by our auditors. It is also known as sample checking. What they'll do, they will check some sample transaction of all the books, and if these sample transactions are found to be okay, then it is it is considered as the whole book is fine. But in CA system or concurrent audit system, it is essentially a substantive check on specific area, any specific key area, where be it treasury function or rediscounting of bill or investment portfolio. What are these terms? Again, we'll be discussing in later chapters, foreign exchange, etc. So CA will take an substantive check on these key areas, and whenever there is any irregularity is found by concurrent audit, how he or she will report. So CA auditors or concurrent auditors are to report if they found any type of minor irregularities. They will report it directly to branch manager for immediate rectification, and it should be rectified within 7 days of the reporting. And if it is not rectified within 7 days, then it will be reported to the controlling office, and if any major irregularity is found by concurrent auditor, then it will be reported directly to the controlling office. So this is a basic glimpse that how RBI act as a banker's supervisor, how RBI act as a supervisor to all the banks, be it any any commercial bank. And I believe that what is a commercial bank? Any banking company which has whose paid up capital and reserve is 5 lakh or more than 5 lakh. So that's all about from the another major function of Reserve Bank of India. Please kindly give your valuable feedback and review. This is most important. Teaching is a two-way communication, and I hope you will give your valuable feedback and reviews. So this is Anurag Sharma signing off. Happy learning, guys.